Welcome to my podcast, guys. If you are here to work on your relationship with your child, then you are for sure in the right space because you will always have to work on your relationship with yourself. And this is what I offer here on my podcast. So if you listen to my podcast and hear things that are not obviously related to your son, listen on, because whatever you improve in your relationship with yourself will automatically improve all of your relationships, including with your son. So welcome and enjoy. Hey guys, welcome to my 3-part series of how to stop fighting with your son. I simplified it as much as I could for you so that it's easy to take away, right? So today I'm going to talk about part 1 of how to stop fighting with your son. And I will share the concept with you that made a big difference for me in my relationships. And I hope that will do the same for you. So this concept that I'm going to share with you is that relationships are your thoughts about the other person. So your relationship with your son consists of your thoughts about your son, okay? It's not about what he does. It's not about what you guys do together. It's not about what he says to you. It's not about what you say to him. It's not what you've done in the past together. It's not what you're going to do in the future. It really is what you're telling yourself about your son, right? So what your thoughts are about your son will create an experience of your relationship for you, okay? So I love this analogy that I've heard once about this brick wall. I heard it from this monk, this guy who told the story. He is a Buddhist monk, and he one time had to build a wall. I think I've already mentioned it on my podcast before, but I'm going to do it again. And he had to build this brick wall. And after he built the brick wall, he noticed the 2 bricks that were not perfectly level with the other ones. And it was driving him crazy. Every time he walked by the wall, he saw the 2 bricks and he wished they were level. They were like flush with the other bricks. And it was really bugging him. Every time he walked by the wall, he was so bugged and frustrated about the 2 bricks that he hated the wall. He really didn't want to see the wall. It really bugged him so much. And so when I think about this example, it's exactly like our relationship with our son. If we are focused on the 2 bricks, on the 2% of our son that is not exactly how we think it should be, we're going to not enjoy our son, right? We're not going to enjoy that wall. We're not going to see the other 98 bricks that are beautifully, even, flat, and perfectly put together. And so I love this example because it zooms me out of the 2% that I don't like about my son or whatever it is he's doing, not doing, saying, whatever. And it zooms me out and reminds me that there's a bigger picture to this, and that my thoughts, right? If my thoughts are focused on the 2% that I don't like or I wish was different, I'm going to feel frustrated. I'm going to feel all these feelings I don't want to feel, and I'm not going to enjoy this relationship, okay? So it's just like that wall. Your relationship with your son is 100 different bricks. What bricks do you want to focus on? And it's not the bricks. The bricks, like your son, it's interesting, the brick wall is your son, but the actual wall doesn't determine how you feel about the wall, right? Because you can think different things about the wall. You can focus on the 2 bricks. You can be frustrated. You can be wishing that they were not crooked, that they were straight. That would cause you one feeling. That would create one feeling about this relationship for you, and if you're constantly thinking about it, then you would feel frustrated constantly, right? You could focus on the other 98 bricks that are straight and perfect and beautiful and happy, and you would feel a different feeling, right? And so notice how the wall doesn't change, but your feeling about it changes. So the same thing about your son. Another way I love to think, to kind of get a summary of your relationship with your son, is ask yourself, what is the title of my relationship with my son? And if you were to summarize it in one sentence, what would that be? What would that sentence be? That sentence is very telling. I remember my own story with one of my sons where I realized that my story, like my title of my relationship with my son was we're always fighting. Okay. And that's why I started this podcast, because I was once in that situation where I was hurting because I felt like my relationship with my son could be so much better and I was missing out on loving him. So when I realized that, I did a lot of work, and on the other side of that work, the title of my relationship with my son became, he's a good boy. And it felt so different, right? The feeling that it brought on was dramatically different and opposite of we're always fighting. And so that the summary of your relationship with your son will be very telling about how you are experiencing it for yourself and what story you're telling yourself. And so when I tell you that any relationship is your thoughts about the other person, it is an amazing news, because if you want to change that relationship, you don't have to change the other person. All you have to do is look at your thoughts, and if you want to pick different thoughts, you can. That is available to you. That is optional to you. If you are not enjoying that relationship, what thoughts would you rather think? And that is the concept that really, really changed my life, all of my relationships, my relationship with my husband, my mom, my dad, my friends, my kids, my colleagues, my clients, everyone, because every time I have a feeling about the other person that I don't like, I don't go to the other person and ask them to change. I always look, what am I thinking about the other person that's causing this feeling? I'm jumping ahead, and I will cover more of this in the second part in the next episode. But the definition of a relationship has changed my life to give me the power to change my relationships from within me. It gives me the power to do that. Because guess what, right? We can't change the other person. You probably know this, and if you're listening to this, you probably tried changing the other person many, many times, and you probably weren't successful, and it's not reliable, and it doesn't work, right? So we can't change the other person. What we can change is our experience of our relationship with that other person. Okay? So let me look at my notes. To change the relationship, you can change your thoughts about them. And this is where coaching becomes extremely useful, because sometimes we don't even realize that what we're thinking is a thought and not the truth. A lot of my clients will tell me, but this is just how it is. This is the truth. This is how this person is. How can I think anything else? And coaching is something as a tool to separate the truth from your thoughts. So I really highly invite you to get coached on this, on your thoughts about your son, with me or anyone else, to really see the most benefit from this concept, okay? Another example that I have for you that really demonstrates that you can have a relationship with the other person and it is your thoughts, is that the other person doesn't even have to be there for you to have a relationship with them. Why is that, right? Because we can have thoughts about the other person without them being there. And we will experience that relationship in our body, in our head, without them being there, just from thinking about them, right? When our son is not there and we're thinking about him, we have a relationship with him. We are experiencing that relationship based on the thoughts we're thinking. That's why a lot of people can have a relationship with someone who has passed away, right? If they're a parent or someone close has passed away and they keep thinking about them, they are continuing to have a relationship with them because they're having thoughts about them. And those thoughts can feel very good, right? If you miss that person, if you love that person and they're not there, you will still feel that love for them. You will feel the missing of them. You will feel all the different things they would have said to you, right? Because you are thinking about them. And that's why sometimes when a mom and a son have a bad relationship and they do not talk and the son doesn't speak to the mom, that's when a mom can still have a relationship with her son even when they're not speaking, because she's still thinking about him. She still loves him. She still wishes best for him. She still has all these thoughts about her boy, even though they're not connected. They're not connecting, right? So this is when it's very even more obvious that your relationship with that other person is only your thoughts. Okay. Another example, I love to give this example to my clients, is when they have a partner or husband or the dad of their kid, is I ask them, like, what is your relationship with your son, and what is the relationship of your dad of your son's dad with your son? And it's always different, right? It's never the same that you have the same relationship with your son as your partner has with your son. It may be similar, it may be both are maybe good relationships, but the idea is your husband's or your partner's thoughts about your son will be different than yours, right? And so it's always fascinating to see how can the son, your boy, be the same person, but you experience him differently than your partner, right? Like, I remember my husband saying once, oh, he loves the heat, my boy. And I'm thinking, are you crazy? He doesn't like the heat. And the truth, where's the truth, right? It's because the experience that I've had with my son, I formulated my opinion that he doesn't like the heat. So my thoughts are, he doesn't like the heat. And my husband he's convinced that the truth is that he likes the heat. So the truth is what? The truth is actually what you just believe. What you're believing about your son is the truth for you, right? And what my son is believing about the heat is the truth for him. So yes, the truth is super subjective, and that is what I'm trying to get to at, is that your relationship with your son is your thoughts. And it doesn't have to be based in like what your actual son is, because that is up to your opinion. What he is, you will always have an opinion about that. That's how our brain is designed. We look at the world and we judge. We judge it and we form an opinion. We think either something that's useful to us, we think, oh, this is good, we feel good, or we form a different opinion this is not good, we don't feel good, right? And so we will do the same thing with our son. And so, yeah, look around. Like, what are different... Your son has many different relationships with his grandparents, his friends, his other parent, his girlfriend, his wife, his kids, you, right? All of his relationships are different. How can that be? And everyone will experience that relationship differently, right? Even if you ask your son to define a relationship with his mom, he will probably describe it in a different way than you would. Why is that? It's because his relationship with you is based on his thoughts about you. I just love this so much because it gives me full power to take care of myself and my relationship. Like, how do I want to experience this relationship? Okay, what thoughts do I want to think? And then I have the work to do. I have to then look at, like, okay, this thought is not believable. Which thought do I want to believe? How can I believe this thought better? If I want to think our relationship is amazing, how can I do that? You know, what already is amazing in our relationship? Let me find that proof. And I want to say this is not positive thinking. When people say, oh, you just have to be positive about this, what they're implying is that, oh, you just have to think positive thoughts about this bad thing. And that is not what I teach. I want to make this very clear. I do not believe this works, and I don't believe this is the truth. I do not believe that there are bad things. I believe that there are things in the world, and we make them good or bad with our thoughts. Okay? So there's no thing out there that's bad that you have to compensate for by thinking good thoughts. I do believe that there's a thing out there, like your son, and it's up to you on how you want to feel about him and think, and your thoughts will determine how you feel. So you don't have to be positive about him or negative because he is not good or bad. You can choose to think that he's a good boy and feel extremely good about him. So that's a caveat about positive thinking. This is not positive thinking. So I gave you some of my examples. I've done a lot of work in my personal relationship with my husband on that because I didn't want to focus on the 2 crooked bricks. I was missing the 98 bricks that are straight, and I wasn't enjoying them. I have this beautiful, beautiful, amazing husband, and what my mind was just focused on these 2 crooked bricks. And I did a lot of work to keep bringing my mind back to all of the 100 bricks. And I did the work on that, and I decided that these 2 bricks mean that I have 100 bricks. So these things that I don't like in him mean that I have a husband, right? If I didn't have a husband, I wouldn't have these 2 crooked bricks. And the same thing with my son, right? It's a bit different, but the work is the same. Is I had to step away back and look at the thoughts that I have about him. And to see the other side, it took me a while. It might take you a while. If you are deep in fighting with him, if you're deep in wishing that he was different, then it will take you a while to see the other side of it. And the other side of it is picturing an amazing relationship, picturing a relationship that is so fun and light and loving, and you just enjoying your son. And when you see him, you don't feel shame. When you see him, you don't feel guilt. You don't feel bad about fighting with him. You don't dread seeing him. You don't have any of that. And all you do is you just feel good and light and fun and loving. And this brings me to the number 1 step you can do to stop fighting with your son. And that step is to stop fighting with yourself about something that you have done wrong to cause this fighting. And to do that, you have to realize, okay, am I actually doing that? Maybe, probably, if there's some guilt over the past, if you're blaming yourself for this, if you're blaming yourself for what he's doing, if you're blaming yourself for what you're doing, if there's any shame, if there's any hidden, like a heavy, dreadful feeling, if you're blaming yourself, this is what your first step is to own it, right? To look at it, to see it. Okay, I do have that. I do blame myself. I do feel guilty. whatever it is, if you feel guilty for something that you've done in the past, or for yelling at him in the last fight, or for in general being not a good mom, whatever it is, big or small, too far, like long time ago or be recent, your job is to have a conversation with yourself and to be at like kind of forgive yourself for that. How do you do that? Many ways you can do that. For me, I always tell myself it is okay that I did that. And then sometimes my answer back to myself is, really? It's okay? How is it okay? This is terrible what I've done. And I keep telling myself, no, it really is okay, because you are human. Human people do this. Humans are not robots. Humans make these mistakes. And I tell myself that nothing has gone wrong. And I'm telling you, nothing has gone wrong here. You were always supposed to do that. This is happening for you. And this is happening also for your son. How is that possible? That maybe is none of your business, but that is available for you to believe that. And if you do believe that, you will be less likely to fight yourself over it. You will be less likely to shame yourself and blame yourself for doing all these things, because they were always meant to happen. And I do believe, this is one of my core beliefs, that everything happens for the best, for the good of us, to help us. And even something horrible that has happened, or that we experience as horrible, is happening so that we can learn something, is for the good of us. And so if something is happening like kind of turbulent with your son and you, it is happening for you, for the best of you and for him. So just, if you can trust that, it will help you tremendously, because then you will be able to drop into the space where the universe is here to help me, is here to take care of me. And this happened for me, so then I don't have to feel bad about whatever I did or said or didn't do. And I am human, and humans make mistakes. There's no shame in doing something wrong with your son, because it's only an opinion. Maybe you didn't do anything wrong. Again, you did it for him. Your son has the exact mom he's meant to have. What if that is really true? Think about it. How relieved would you be if you just allowed that to be true? He has the exact mom he's supposed to have, with all the things that you have done wrong, quotes, because there's really nothing wrong you can do. So if your son has the exact mom he's meant to have, then he's learning the lessons he came here to learn with you and all the people in his life. So you don't have to worry about ruining him. You did not ruin him. There's nothing that you've done to ruin him. You did not break him for life. You did not do something that's going to stay with him for the rest of his life. Don't do this to yourself, right? That's just going to make you feel terrible. Thinking that thought that you ruined him or did something to him, it's going to make you feel terrible. So this is what I tell myself, and I'm telling you this is what helped me. So do whatever is necessary for you to feel okay with whatever you have done, to not blame yourself and to not shame yourself. And that is your first step. Once you are able to get there, you will then be able to be curious about your own thoughts about your son without any judgment, right? If you are blaming yourself and shaming yourself for what you've done, you will then bring that in with you to look at your thoughts about your son, and you will beat yourself even more about what you're thinking about your son. Don't do that. Don't take this information and use it against yourself. Simply do what you can best. And if you need help, I'm here to help you. Look at your thoughts and drop the judgment and get down to your thoughts about your son. And so This is the two things that I have for you. Let me summarize. The one thing is this concept that relationships are your thoughts about the other person. So your relationship with your son is the collection of all the thoughts that you have about him. And those thoughts will determine how you experience, how you feel about your son. And if you're fighting with your son and you're not enjoying, you're not loving him, then that is an indication that your thoughts about your son need some revising. And you are fully in charge of doing that. You are in charge of your thoughts about your son, not your son. What he does doesn't determine what you think about him. Okay? That is the concept that you can always go back to in any relationship if you want to change it. So if you want to change that relationship, you can do so by changing your thoughts about the other person. And the other thing is the number one step that you can do is to stop fighting yourself about what you've done or what you haven't done with your son. Okay? Stop fighting with yourself and get to being okay with whatever it is, with fighting with him, with doing everything. If you need help with that, I really do invite you to come and sign up for a free session with me where we can address that and talk about that, and you can tell me everything and I can help you address those blocks and see what you can see. Oh, there's the song turned on. Sorry about that. I'm on the roll. And so that is the two things I have for you today. So the relationships are your thoughts about the other person. And number one thing you need to stop is stop beating yourself up for whatever you've done wrong. Then you will be able to access your relationship with your son and change it if you need to, if you want to. In the next part 2, I will talk about your feelings about your son and how he doesn't cause you to feel bad and he also doesn't make you feel happy. Okay, I'll talk about that. And in the third part of the series, I will give you examples of different thought errors we have that cause us to fight with our son. And I will also give you some examples of thoughts that create love for our son. I hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, please share with others who you might think will find it helpful and so they can get help with their son. Thank you so much for listening, and I love you, and I will see you in the next episode. And if you need help, please come to my website and sign up for a free mini session. It's completely free, where you have 45 minutes of my time where I can help you talk about your relationship with your son. I would love to do that. It would be my honor. You can go to www.coachingnatalia.com and go to sign up for a free mini session and pick the time you need. If you can't find the time that works for you, always you can email me and we can find the time that works for both of us. All right, guys? All right, have a great week and please stop beating yourself up. Okay? Bye. And I'm on a roll.